Hello and welcome to Future Procurement. My name is Robert Freeman and today we are talking to a guest who plays a really special role in the procurement world. It is Tania Seary. Hello Tania.
Hello Robert, thank you for inviting me to join you today.
Tania is best known for being founder of Procurious. It is the business network for people like us, procurement and supply chain professionals. However, it's not the only thing that you are doing, Tania, in your lives that you have done. Also in your life, you have quite some companies and countries where you were working, right, Tania?
Yes, that's right.
I also particularly like the way you introduce yourself, for example, in LinkedIn. In your profile, if I may read it from there, it's written entrepreneur, CEO, mother, marketer, wife, philanthropist, public speaker. There are many words to describe Tania, but one that comes up over and over is networker. I love this introduction.
Well, thank you, Robert. It's always difficult to write your own resume or CV, but one of my team members wrote that about me, and I thought, well, actually, that summarizes me very well. So it was very kind of her to write that, but yeah, it's a great summary.
So today I propose to concentrate on this part of your personality, networking and communication for procurement. Is it fine with you, Tania?
Absolutely. It's what I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. So let me start then with asking you about why did you decide to create a community of procurement professionals? What was your motivation there?
Well, I am very passionate about the profession, and we'll talk a little bit about this today, but I definitely think it's one of the most exciting places to work, particularly at the moment with all the exciting changes we're seeing with Industry 4.0. But I guess I just saw the opportunity, having worked around the world, you know, from UK to the US, in Asia, just all the benefits that the profession can gain from working together. So I guess my enthusiasm and love for the profession, teamed with what the opportunity I saw of working together, really motivated me to start Procurious. I guess working in the US and Australia, I had already been creating networks of people, bringing them together to learn from each other. So when I moved to London, I thought, wow, now we have all these social media tools that have never been available before. So I could actually help connect the world globally, the world of procurement. So that's really what I've done. So people now have the opportunity to either connect online or face-to-face. And we can talk it a bit further, but I think that there's a role for both still. You can't just build your network online or just face-to-face. It needs to be a combination.
So maybe the logical question then, and the curiosity for many of our listeners, what is Procurious then in a bigger sense? Can you describe it?
Well, what it is really the best comparison is with LinkedIn, and I know you and I have talked about that previously. It uses a lot of the functionality of LinkedIn, but it has extra features like e-learning. And I think the big advantage is it's a specialist group just for procurement and supply chain. So there's not all the busyness of LinkedIn where the whole world is there. It's specifically for our profession. Therefore, all the content, all the conversations, all the learning, all the events are for procurement only. So hopefully that'll make it a lot more efficient for people to get onto that platform and to find out what they need to know.
As a user, I fully agree with it. I mean, I'm in this network as well, but what I hear often is that people say that I'm already in LinkedIn and I have, as you said, many features that I need for networking, for direct messaging and things like that. So why should I care even about Procurious? What would you answer to those people? What is special about Procurious?
Well, what is special is it's just for us, and you don't have to go searching, and there's not as much noise as we like to say. And also the conversations, it's very much more of a discussion. You know, if you look at our Q&A board, the conversations can go back and forward, and you can actually follow the thread of the conversations a lot better. I think it's also easier to find out who are the thought leaders in our space because there's less noise, and who you should actually be connecting with. So it's that ability to focus. But of course, every platform can play a role in your professional life. And, I think definitely LinkedIn also has its strengths in keeping connected with the broader business community. So it often just comes down to how much time you have to dedicate to social media and building your networks and knowledge.
Right. And how big is the community as of now?
Yes. So we're over 26,000 members now.
Wow.
In over 140 countries. Yes, in just over, 3.5-4 years. So we're really happy with that, and we're very happy with the quality of the membership and how they're engaging. But we're looking forward to growing and being, the largest. We probably are the largest online network at the moment, but really including lots of the countries from around the world. And I think that's probably one of the big differences, is that we are truly global. We have a lot of there's media and associations that focus on specific regions, but we really are, aiming to be a truly global network, which is what you can do when you're online.
Very interesting. And once again, I agree that it is so much value that I get from, for example, these weekly newsletters that you send, the articles and the new developments in different areas, new trends. Event when I decided to contact you was that I received this summary with your, what was that? Not a pie, but procurement.
The trifle.
Exactly.
The pudding, procurement pudding, the trifle. Well, that was a funny analogy. Actually, someone recognized that as one of the top 10 blogs in 2017, which was very flattering for me. But I'll come back to that, Robert. But what I wanted to say is it's great to hear that you get a lot from Procurious. And an important point that I make with people is that you get out of something what you put in. So you get what you put in. And so you're out there sharing knowledge, doing podcasts and things like this, and you therefore receive a lot back. You get a lot of information, you get a lot of gratification from that. And I think that's a really important message that I try to share people, both about networking and their social media habits. So with networking, you really have to give to receive. People who approach networking as, I need to build my network to get a job, generally aren't successful, because people can see that it's all a one-way street for them. Yeah. But people who approach networking to help other people actually gain a lot more benefit, because their networks are a lot stronger, because they're actually trying to help people and can reach out to them when they need some help. So I think it's really important for anyone listening to realise that you only get out of something what you put in. And social media is the same, is that, we want to see people sharing stories, sharing insights, because that makes everyone's knowledge so much richer. And I know a lot of people are nervous about actually putting themselves out there in inverted commas. But we need procurement and supply chain's voice to be heard, and for us to be able to share our successes but also our problems and really help each other. And the more that we help each other, the stronger we will be as a profession. So I think it's great that you get a lot out of your participation in these communities, and I wished everyone was like you. So, but there is a big benefit. And I guess the procurement pudding blog and story is really a kind of a quirky way of me sharing how I see procurement and supply chain at the moment, because there are so many layers. And for those of you out there who are not quite sure what a trifle is, it's sort of a pudding that's very popular in, I think it's an English pudding, and it's sort of sponge cake and jelly and custard and cream. And, I think that's what our profession's like at the moment, is We've got Industry 4.0. We've got all the geopolitical changes. We've got our own profession going through a lot of changes. And somehow we've got to navigate our way through that and sort of serve up something to our stakeholders in such a way that they actually enjoy it. So I think that's part of what makes, our profession so exciting at the moment, is there are so many dimensions and there are so many opportunities. If we can be the first to get on top of all these Industry 4.0 changes like cognitive procurement, robotics, analytics, then we're going to thrive. We're going to be the one at the C-level table with the answers when everyone else is sort of, disoriented or discombobulated because of some disruption. Hopefully our profession can be the ones there who are agile and can say, hey, hang on, here's a solution. I have a supplier or part of my network can do this. So that's really what my aspiration is. So I think the more people can learn about these changes through social media and other outlets, the more we'll be prepared to have a seat at the table when trouble strikes.
Interesting. And even more with these changes happening, I think the value and the role of networking in achieving success is increasing more and more. And
absolutely.
And good communication.
I think there's two parts to it. I mean, when you look at business strategy and gaining competitive advantage, and also managing disruptions or contingency planning, if we look at the first, business strategy is all based on understanding what your competitors do. The only way you can outwit your competitor is by knowing what they're doing. And, for someone to, build them, stick themselves in a silo and just work within their own company and never look outside is very dangerous, because you can never build a competitive strategy. So I think that's one thing about keeping connected and looking outside your organisation, is you can see what your suppliers and your competitors are doing and build strategy around that. The other side of the coin is when we talk about these big disruptions or contingency or business continuity planning, you have to look to others and see how they've handled a crisis or where they've found solutions, rather than reinventing the wheel yourself the minute that, trouble strikes. So, I think on either end of the spectrum, being connected and knowing what the rest of the world doing can be extremely valuable in business.
Interesting. And this would lead me to another question about the companies, about the management of the companies. Should they care about engaging the procurement professionals to be a part of different communities, to be a part of different, to stimulate them to network with others?
Absolutely. For the two reasons I just outlined, competitive strategy and advantage and contingency planning. And I'd also point out to your listeners that, remember, the consummate networkers, the people who know how to network and gain advantage from their network more than anyone else, is the C-level. When we look at these directors of boards, the CEOs, the CFOs, they all network. They all go and meet up with each other at different events or industry bodies and associations. These are the people who really believe in networks, and, that's how they get their next job or the next board position. So really learning these skills are part of your journey to senior management. And nobody knows better the value of networking than senior management.
Yeah. There is a part of my podcast which I call Here and Now. And here maybe there is something we are very close to. Can you give any practical and very here and now advice for our listeners, how they could engage themselves in more conversations, how they can start networking here and now, just after finishing listening to our podcast?
Make a plan. That would be my number one piece of advice. People sort of look at their networking as a nice to have or something that they'll fit in at some time. what you need to do is actually make a plan. And something new that I'm trying the here and now is to have list 5 people who you really need to meet to advance your career. So it might be, you want to find a job within their company, or for them, you need to learn something about that industry. So really be specific about those 5 people and really structure a plan around how you can access them. So you might have 3 levels of separation from where you are today, from where they are, and try and find out how you can intersect with them. So make a plan is my here and now.
So here and now, make the plan and make the list, you said, of 5 people.
5 people.
Yeah, super. I think it's very practical, and that's why I love to grasp some of the really, really practical advice for those of you, dear listeners, who say that I don't know what to do after listening to the podcast. Here and now, make the list and make the plan.
And look, be proactive. I mean, think about it now, Robert. You've reached out to me and, about this podcast. And now you're top of mind to me, and I'll be thinking, wow, Robert's doing a great job with future procurement. How can we work together? And that's how networking works. Yeah. But unless someone initiates and says, hey, Tania, why don't we do this? Or, hey, Robert, why don't we do that? Nothing moves forward. So you've got to have the courage and the initiative to get the ball rolling. Otherwise, you maintain the status quo.
Interesting. And coming back to Procurious now, in Procurious there are many tools and possibilities for people to interact, not only send in the messages. Is there any chat possibilities or something like this?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the discussion board is a great place to connect, and you can message people, so from your profile. So, yes. Would you like it to be a little bit more interactive? Is that your recommendation, to have a chat feature?
I thought about direct messaging, but yeah.
Yes, you can direct message.
Okay, you see. So also use the existing networks. I mean, for interactions, for communication, and for providing the value, as Tania said a few minutes ago. Give value upfront. Don't be afraid to share the information you have, and then by doing that, by asking right questions, you will get the at least many answers. I don't say right answers, because probably there are no right answers. You choose which answers are right and wrong.
That is exactly right. But at least you have a lot of information for you to make the right decision for you.
Right. Interesting, Tania. Thank you so much for this advice. And jump into the next topic I had for you was about motivation for procurement professionals. And I'm sure you have some advice to give to us. You meet and talk to so many great procurement leaders all over the world. And what do you observe them? What motivates them to develop further in procurement?
Well, I go back to that word opportunity. I think there's a lot of people who can see the huge opportunities for our profession to play a major role in business moving forward, because I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing this word ecosystem, but we are going to be working in extended networks and moving forward. And a lot of these are supply networks and commercial networks, and people who have the skills to be able to construct those networks, to be able to manage commercial relationships in a very agile way, are the ones that will be the leaders of tomorrow. So I think, that's the really big opportunity for procurement and supply chain, to use all their commercial knowledge and their understanding of the supplier landscape, and to turn that into commercial advantage for their companies. So I think there's a lot to learn. And I guess when people are frustrated in their career and they don't know, how to progress.
Yeah.
I remember this great saying, when you come to a mountain, you can either go over it, through it, or around it.
Yeah.
And I really encourage people to think of all the different ways that you can actually move around a potential blocker or a boss in your organisation or someone in your organisation who's not helping you progress. And it's interesting, your suppliers can actually be an amazing source of knowledge and learning and insight and even mentor you, as can some of your stakeholders.
True.
So don't think of your career as just being sort of linear or, parent-child type relationship. There are lots of people around, and of course your external network, who can really mentor you, support you, and help you progress. But certainly learning all these new skills and the changes that are taking place in the marketplace are going to be critical if you're going to stay ahead of the pack.
Interesting, and I like how you formulate the things. Whatever advice you give still goes through communicating to someone, talking to someone, asking someone. So it's really networking and communication is somewhere what is on top of your mind all the time. Interesting.
It is.
I like it. And now the time is running out, and to wrap up this interview, please share with us your biggest idea for procurement with our listeners. What would be the main takeaway for them after they talk to Tania Seary?
Get connected and get ahead. I truly believe that the more connected you are, the further you will progress in your career, for all sorts of reasons, for being aware of business changes, for meeting the right people who can give you your next career break, giving you great advice, situation. I just truly believe if you open yourself up to a wide variety of communication channels, you will succeed in business.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time being, 12 hours ahead of me. Thank you so much for finding
Season. I'm in summer. I think you're in the depth of winter.
Yes, absolutely.
But I won't remind you of that right now.
No. Thank you once again, and have a great day.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I truly enjoyed this discussion with Tania Seary, the great communicator and once again the founder of Procurious network for procurement professionals and supply chain professionals. I hope you will go and check it after this podcast. If you haven't done it yet, please do so. And once again, Tania is a great example of the communication and networking in procurement, and I really hope that she inspired you to start doing it as much as you can. And please don't underestimate the effect that communication can do for us in procurement. Once again, check here and now, make the list of 5 people you can get connected with and think how to do it in as soon as time, here and now. Don't forget to share this podcast episode with your friends and colleagues who may benefit from listening to it. I would really appreciate it. Comment and send us your feedback. Send us also your questions to info@futureprocurement.net or wherever you are listening to this podcast. My name is Robert Freeman, and this was Future Procurement. Talk to you soon.